What's up everybody, Smyers here. Today I want to show you how to make the main synth to 5 hours by Deorro. Now I know that he already made a video breaking down how he made the song, but I just want to go a little bit more in depth on how he made the synth sound, and also I want to show you how to make it in Serum. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, so welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, please go ahead and subscribe. And also, if you would like to support any of my work, head on over to store.samsmyers.com. What I want to show you is what I deciphered from that breakdown video that I saw Deorro make. He didn't go into complete detail on how he created the beginning of the synth sound where it starts lower and then builds up, but enough details where I could fill in the blanks. So let me just give you some previews and explain how to make this synth, some of the automation that is happening in this synth, and then I will break down how to create it in Serum. So this is one thing that I didn't really think about doing in a song, is to automate the master tempo. And that's what he's doing in 5 hours, is he's automating the master tempo to rise up. And that's why you get this winding up sound. He's automating the master tempo, and then he's also just automating a pitch bend on the synth. So I just added some random nodes here just so I could try to match the timing, but maybe he just added a curve and started at something like 20 BPM and then took it up to eventually 128. And it takes quite a bit of time to get up to 128, because even as that main melody starts, it's starting around like 110 or so BPM and then slowly rises up into about 128 when that drop hits. So for example, here's the beginning. So you've got that like swishy sound that is happening, and it sounds really slow, and then eventually it starts to speed up. And then gets into the melody. And then you also have the synth part, the part of the drop where everything opens up, all the cutoff opens up, and then it's like heavily sidechained to the kick. That sounds like that, and that's when it finally gets to that 128 BPM. So in this beginning, it's just playing eighth notes, even though it sounds really slow, but it's just playing eighth notes on this G, and he's doing like a pitch bend that is going from -24 all the way up. So this is at -24, goes all the way up. Just slowly pitching it up to 2 octaves. You hear that swishy noise with the noise being pretty loud, and so that noise is also being automated. So the noise on the synth is really loud, and then it gets automated a bit lower when the synth comes in. And then also there's this part where there's this run where I just automated that noise completely off there, because I'm not sure if it is actually in that part there. So the main thing about the synth is that it's a really cool saw wave synth, really simple, but just like with all the automation that's happening is what makes it interesting. So if we just take a look at some of the things that I have on, we've got the Kickstart 2, and you can just use like a sidechain compressor, but the Kickstart 2 automates on when the drop comes in, everything opens up. I've got the EQ8 that automates this low cut. So in the beginning, as it's winding up, if I didn't have this low cut on, you'd have all that low end. So that cuts off all that low end eventually until it gets up to when the melody plays, and then I can just release some of this filter. So that when I actually start playing the melody, and this is the melody, so we've got the low end bass note, and then we've got the top end notes, and let's just play this so you can see what it is. So that's the melody that repeats throughout the entire song, and then sometimes it'll have this run. So let's get into some more of the automation, because there's a bit more to go through. So we've got the reverb that is in the beginning. I have it on about 10%, automates a bit more downward, a few percentage points. When we start the melody, we've got that delay that happens in the beginning. If you hear this swish, you can hear that delay, which eventually when the melody comes in, it turns off. So I automated that off. And then we've got the cutoff. So the cutoff I have automated. These are all the parameters on Serum I have automated. We've got the noise, the cutoff, the pitch bend. So the cutoff slowly rises up. And then more drastic at that point. And then to get that swishy sound, I'm just calling it the swishy sound because it's like the noise at the beginning. You have to automate the envelope 2, which is assigned to the filter. So at the beginning, you have this attack that's really slow. So if I just play this on my keyboard, and let's lower the cutoff. By slowing down this envelope 2, this is how you're getting that kind of like swishy sound with that noise. And this attack eventually speeds up to be really fast once that melody starts to play, so we can get more of a pluck sound. So in the tracks, Deorro is using Synth, and with Synth, he has the noise amp envelope attached to the noise. There isn't really like an amp envelope specifically for the noise. So what I did is I just assigned the envelope 3 to this noise and then sped up the attack as well, because I see he's automating the attack as well, along with this envelope 2 filter. So let's go to the beginning and we can see the envelope 3. And I'm slowly automating this attack to be faster, and you can see the parameters down here moving. So those are all the parameters that are automated. And let me just walk you through now how to create this from scratch. So I will initialize that preset. So it's just like going to be a saw wave. You can leave it on this default oscillator. And I'm going to raise this oscillator A up to 16 and lower this detune to like 3.03 or 5. I think maybe around there works. And then for the noise, we can do the alpha and Z noise. And eventually I'm going to be automating this level. So then let's go ahead and just adjust our envelopes. So envelope 1, we can just give it a bit of release. And then envelope 2 is going to be the envelope we're going to use for our cutoff. So I'm just going to shape this a bit, give it some release. And envelope 2, I'm going to assign this to our filter. So let's do MG low 24 and assign envelope 2 to this cutoff. And let's go ahead and just hit Shift and Option to get it unipolar. And then I'm going to adjust this modulation on the cutoff and turn it on for the noise. Maybe just adjust that resonance a bit. And then to automate this cutoff, I'm going to assign one of the macro knobs to the cutoff. So let's go and just assign this macro knob to the cutoff and just adjust that modulation. And now I can just automate this macro knob to play around with that automation. And we can label this cutoff. And now for envelope 3, like I was saying, this one is going to be just tied to this level of the noise. So I'll just assign this to the level of the noise. And then we can also just automate this envelope 3 attack. So that's going to be super loud. What I'm going to do is go into my matrix and use a macro knob for this envelope 3. So I got to go to the aux source and go to the envelope 3. And now I control the amount of this envelope. And so let's go and just label this noise. So now this can control the level of the noise. And then I can go to my mapping on Serum. So I've already got these mapped just because I duplicated this track. But if I wanted to make sure and be able to map all these parameters, I just hit this configure and then click on them. So I've got the noise, I've got the cutoff, I've got the pitch bend. I'm going to go ahead and adjust this pitch bend to 24, negative 24 and 24 if I want to take it up. So that's a pretty big range. And then we've got the envelope 2 set up and the envelope 3. So those are all the parameters we're going to automate. And then from there, I can add on a bit of EQ, just rolling off some of that low end and just adding a bit of a boost in the high shelf. And then adding a compressor. And then I can add reverb inside of Serum, or I can just add it on later on in my chain like Deorro did in his original track. So that's how you create the synth. Let me just play the part where we get into the drop. So then I've got that Kickstart 2 after a bit of compression. So that's the Kickstart 2. Mix it like 90%. You can put it at 100 for some more compression, sidechain compression. Maybe I'll try this one. So that's how you create the synth. That's how you create that build up in the beginning. It's all the same synth, just automating a bunch of the parameters like the noise parameters and the envelopes. And then for the bass, he's just using this Scarby J bass slap bass preset. So this is the instrument, the slap bass instrument he's using. And then this is the melody. So I'll play it for you. So that's the bass melody that repeats throughout the track. Let's play that with the synth. And then with the drums. And those are just the main elements of the track. He's got some other like buzzy bass sounds throughout the track that are happening on top of the bass. I think he took like a sample and then chopped it up, and then you'll hear these like bass buzzes. But that's that main bass sound, is just that Scarby bass. And then you have this main synth, and that's how he's doing that automation. He's just automating this synth, changing the parameters up throughout the track just to make it sound interesting. If you just want to grab this preset, I'll put a link down below. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a like, and also please subscribe to my channel if you are not yet subscribed. And if you'd like to check out any of my Serum preset packs, I'll put links down below for those as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.